Welcome to The Ancient Way. I'm James.
I'm Marlia.
What do we got today?
We're going to hit a little bit of our fringe topics.
Yeah.
Something on a little edgier than what we normally talk about.
I've been looking forward to this.
Oh, yeah. I think we have done a great job of laying the foundation of how biblically based we really are.
Yeah.
How our whole world is like founded upon the Lord. So if we talk about something that feels unfamiliar or a little out there, I encourage you to take it before the Lord.
Yeah.
Because all of these things, I believe, are very real.
Yeah. And that foundation it'll seep through even these fringe topics. It's definitely going to come out in it. So it's not going to be unsafe or uncomfortable, most likely, but
yeah, but it's going to be out there.
It'll be out there, yeah. Make some sense of it.
All right, which one do you want to talk about first?
So today, we kind of mentioned this earlier. I think we should go into the Nephilim, what they are, maybe demons, maybe disembodied spirits.
Okay.
Kind of what...
I like that.
That will be encompassed in this episode, I think.
Ghosts.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's because it's not too fringy. Everybody knows what a ghost is or have had a ghost story. You've heard one, have experienced one.
That's a good mild segue into this.
Yeah, this is the shallow end of the swimming pool.
So tell me a ghost story you have.
Okay. Okay, this one is always the first one that comes to mind. I don't know who listens to this or who will listen to it, but some of these people may have been there with me back in the day. This was like 2008, 2009 maybe. But I'm from around Athens, Texas, which has an extremely supernatural background. It's littered all throughout the city. When I was in high school, I went and decided to be a bit of like a journalist, documentary kind of filmmaker or something, and I went and researched this town and the history of it, went and spoke to people, went to the Athens Daily Review and like newspaper archives like back to the 30s and pulled up everything that I could. It's really fun, really interesting. But anyways, I can tell that whole story another day. It's called Fuller's Park. I think if you're from Athens, you've heard of it. If you're not from Athens, you've probably heard of it. It's been on other podcasts, and it's kind of a big deal. It's not a park like you would think.
What is it?
No playgrounds. I mean, it's just a plot of land, and its history is a little unclear. But there are two graves there of, I guess, the people that owned it, the Fullers. They're gravestones. And we were like fascinated with this back in high school. But their graves are there, and there are these rock stone pillars around the graves. And there are these massive chains that go around it.
What do these chains look like?
Like big medieval looking, like big giant chains.
No way.
Yeah. And one of the stories is the chains are always cold no matter what. You touch them.
Is that true?
I don't know. I mean, it's metal and I don't know. We touched them. It's kind of like, well, I guess so.
Were they cold?
I guess. I don't know. It sounds cool. But one interesting thing, the stones and these pillars and even the wall around Fuller's Park is made out of virgin stone. And there
What's
are
that?
structures. I want to say that it comes from another. I have to brush back up on the research. I want to say it comes from another part of the world. But there are all of these structures associated with the paranormal here in Athens have this virgin stone around them. Are you pulling it up?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'm just looking at it.
But
interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting. So this park, you go down, the graves are the first thing you see on the right. Anyways, I know the place like the back of my hand. So, and everybody knew it. And we would go out there with friends, and I would show everybody where the monkey cages were. And there's like an old house out there, a shed. There's a giant monkey cage.
What?
Yeah, it's like, I mean, oh gosh, it's like a really big cage. I mean, humans can fit in it, but it's hard to explain it. but there's like this chicken wire looking fence around it. It's really tall.
That's
But
weird.
I would take people out there, go on tours, you know?
Of course, you were the tour guide.
Oh, yeah. And there were trees with like candles on 5 different ends, like a pentagram. They would do little things out there. I don't know if it was sacrifices, but they would go do some little seances.
Like witches would.
Yeah, witches would. It's like Athens is one of the witchcraft capitals of the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyways, you go out there, you'd see candles and pentagrams and stuff like that everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
So one night, some friends were like, James, take us out there, you know, let's go explore, show us the place. So I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. I know the place, acting all tough and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Really prideful back then. But we get out there, it's probably like right around midnight. And we walk past the graves and we go down, there's like this little intersection. It's like one way goes to this big open field, the other goes to the monkey cages. So I'm like, where do y'all want to go? Your choice, I'll show you. And everybody's sitting there talking about it. And as they're sitting there talking about it, and this is another one, no drugs, no alcohol, nothing. And I'm sitting there and like, it's kind of hard it's as if I zoned out. It's like the inside of my perception like went inwards. It was weird. It was trippy, zoned out. And this old woman, it was the shape of this old woman, this bright, like kind of a light or like a wisp, like a light cloud, I guess. But this wasn't angelic.
Mm-hmm.
Walked right past me, and I know the exact outline. It was an old woman.
Yeah.
Walked right by me, and I was frozen,
mm-hmm.
and nobody else saw it.
Yeah.
And so I just told them, I'm like, y'all, we're not going to the monkey cages. Like, we need to leave right now.
Yeah.
And they were like, what's wrong? And I was like, just trust me. We need to leave. It just freaked me out so much.
Totally.
So we left. It took like everything not to run, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Especially you've had people, you have that feeling where somebody's watching you or something's behind you.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, if I went there now, I wouldn't run.
No. You'd buck up.
But back then, yeah, it shook me up a little bit. So that's my ghost story. We left, and I didn't tell any of them that I saw it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was tough, supposedly.
Yeah.
But
can't let it be known that it rattled you a little bit.
Yeah, I couldn't. Now I can. It rattled me, and if they would have saw it, it probably would have rattled them. You know, it was weird. But I think I don't know. I don't know if it was that lady. We can go into that in a little bit of what disembodied humans looks like.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what do you think that was? Do you think it was actually her, or do you think it was?
I don't think it was her. I think maybe there's a possibility that people could still be here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it was her. I think whenever there's lore or a story or something like that other spirits can come in and embody that.
Yeah.
That legend or something.
Mm-hmm.
But, and I don't know, maybe, I don't know this, maybe people can get stuck. Maybe until they're able to, I don't know, move on to the next realm,
Yeah.
or move on to heaven, or, whatever that looks like. Maybe if there's people who hold on to things in this world.
Like if they're bound to the things that they're holding on to.
Yeah, maybe they're stuck until they can get past it.
Mm.
I'm not sure. That's been a thought of mine. But
so
that's
like purgatory, but better?
Yeah.
Or worse, I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't fully know purgatory.
I don't either. It's, sketchy. But
yeah, I think so too.
What about you? Ghost story?
Man, nothing that jumps out. Nothing that the only thing, physically, I've not seen it.
Mm-hmm.
I have felt things.
Yeah.
I have felt like, I need to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
When you're a dumb kid and you're trolling a graveyard. That always seems to be the place that scares the crap out of me.
I know it, me too.
But for a long time, I wouldn't go to graveyards at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really thought I would run into a ghost or I would run into a person.
Yeah.
My aunt passed away back in 2002, so 20 years ago. And I could not go to her grave. I literally thought I would see her sitting there.
Mm.
It was this paranoia I had. Because I think that stuff is real.
Yeah.
Whether it's a disembodied spirit that has taken on or whatever,
mm-hmm.
which I think that honestly, that's my view of a ghost.
Yeah.
Personally, is if you want to get into the Nephilim thing,
Mm-hmm.
I think that I think a ghost is literally a demonic spirit
Yeah.
that possesses.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm open to my view being different or
Sure.
like changing or
Yeah,
whatever. But
same
in
here.
the current state, I really do think that it is a demon that channels even their appearance or their likeness.
Mm-hmm.
Like Satan disguises himself as an angel of light.
Yeah.
Therefore, I think that they have the ability to try and appear like something safe.
Yeah, definitely.
Or not safe,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to produce
And
fear.
it's almost like with the old ladies, like we knew that story. We knew these people
The
were
legend,
here.
yeah.
And so it's like it opened the doorway for it to use that to get to us, I guess, or to show itself in that form. I don't know.
I do think that the land holds something, though.
Yeah.
So this is going to be kind of weird. I've had the Lord tell me to go out and bless the land. And I was like, well, why?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I really thought it was weird. And he said, the ancestors are great. And I was like, oh, that's even weirder for me. Like, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I instantly went into this vision where I saw this plot of land that I was on hundreds of thousands of years ago, like a long time ago, and the richness that was on the land.
Yeah.
And how the land had been cursed, but he was like, no, I want you to bless the land.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was like me stepping into my authority. But I think that land can hover, like it can hold curses or it can hold different things. And it's our job to like let them go. But I think sometimes those curses show up as ghosts.
Yeah.
Like the curse or whatever will embody a spirit.
Huh. I like that. You saying that land can hold curses or it can hold like blessing. It made me think of Elijah and Naaman the Syrian.
Yeah.
And Naaman like taking dirt back with him.
Oh, yeah.
Because of its spiritual substance.
Yeah, because he saw that the people of God actually embodied land.
Mm-hmm. So that definitely adds credence to that.
What is that scripture, by the way?
Oh, it's in Kings, 2 Kings something? I don't remember. Syrian.
It's a good story.
Oh, yeah.
He has to go dump himself 7 times, and he's like offended that
it's not a bigger deal. Or
But he's like, no, go do the thing.
And doesn't Elijah send his servant to tell him to go dip in the Jordan River 7 times?
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't even go talk to him, I don't think.
No. And
he goes like huffing and puffing, and then his servant's like, well, just do it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah. And so he does it, and then he's like, his skin is clean like a baby.
Because he had leprosy, which is like, I mean,
the biggest.
The clock's running when you have leprosy.
Yeah.
And he was healed.
Mm-hmm.
Baby, skin like a baby. That's right.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it says that verbatim.
It does,
skin like a baby.
And then he comes back and he's like, basically acknowledges like Yahweh's God.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, can I take some dirt home with me?
Yeah.
It's like, what?
Just for people if they want to go read it or whatever.
Yeah, it's a good one to go read for sure.
It really is. It's 2 Kings 5.
Okay.
So it's a great.
Yeah. Yeah, go read that.
Yeah, it's excellent. But I think, okay, let's get in. I want to talk about the land aspect now that we talked about it.
Yeah.
You and I had kind of talked about our own city and what our city would look like.
Oh, yeah.
Like the land being redeemed.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite things that we kind of talked about was how all of our cities, I think, all of the cities have potential to be restored like Eden, where there is so much of heaven.
Yeah.
Well, all of the city being heaven. And I don't think that looks like, we're walking on streets of gold.
Yeah.
But I think it's like the whole thing is redeemed, meaning everybody is in the fruit of the Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's functioning as they were created to function.
Yeah.
There's no dissension. There's no...
even competition.
There's no competition. Like there's space for everybody. And there's like mass creative arts,
Oh, yeah.
You and I talking about, I think it'd be so cool if in this city we had like a creative arts center and not just like, a center, but like a school to teach people to unlock the great giftings that are within them.
Oh, yeah.
Whether it's woodworking, whether it's like painting, whether it's dancing, whether it's like whatever it is.
Yeah.
It being a hub where people can just go and express themselves. You know, I think that when it's in its pure state, that really is heaven. It releases heaven. It brings joy. It brings unity. It brings all the goodness, you know, and I think it's easily perverted.
Yeah.
It's easily twisted. But I think that's just because the purified state is so much better.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
and
there's always a counterfeit to what's pure and better. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's authentic.
But just taking over the land, like.
Yeah.
I just see it. I
do too.
Just this purity coming.
Honestly. Like we said, there's space for everybody.
There's 100% space for everybody.
Yeah. There's no climbing over people or missing out. Yeah.
But I think it goes all the way back to, let's talk about the Nephilim.
Yeah, let's go into it.
Because I think we can circle back to this once we hit the Nephilim part.
This is extremely biblical too.
Oh, yeah. So in Genesis 6, 1-4, I think it's funny that people overlook this a lot because it's very easy to. You know, like if you don't have context of the Book of Enoch.
Yeah.
You know, the Book of Enoch, even though it's not scripture.
Yeah, it's non-canonical, but.
Yeah.
But it's referenced. It's referenced by Peter, Jude, all throughout the Bible.
Oh, yeah.
Enoch is in the Bible. He's in the Old Testament, Genesis. But
I think it's only because it gives context.
Yeah.
It doesn't unveil the person of Jesus. And I think that's why they didn't put it in there. They show the heavenlies and they give context of what's happening. So
it informs the world. Yeah.
Their worldview of what was going down.
Absolutely.
Which I think is so funny that a lot of it is coming out now.
Yeah.
Like even scientists and stuff are proving, oh no, we've always had these ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
The Babylonians, the Canaanites, mythology, like all of those actually lived on the earth.
Yeah.
Like these are not just mythology made up stories. Even science is saying, no, these people were here.
Yeah.
It's proven. You can go look at Göbekli Tepe. There's an ancient site. There's a place in Peru. I can't remember the name of it, but you can go look it up. The Pyramid of Giza, the Sphinx. All of these places are proving more and more and more that these gods, in the Bible, they refer to them as Elohim, but these gods actually lived upon the earth.
Yeah.
And for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Like some of the earliest that they're saying now is like 30,000 years ago.
Yeah. That's interesting.
That these gods lived here.
Yeah.
Even though what they deem as a human race, Adam.
Yeah.
These are scientist statements.
Yeah.
I've been watching this channel on Amazon called The Ancient Civilizations. This is where I'm getting most of my historic information.
I'm going to watch it.
And then I research it. But these Adam people, this human race, didn't show up until like 20,000 years ago. But before then, it was what they call a different race.
Okay, is that like the Neanderthal kind of caveman aspect of it? That's interesting.
But it's not just cavemen. These cavemen, quote unquote, are not human.
Sure.
They are
something else.
Of a different race.
Yeah.
Gods, as people would call them. That have supernatural power.
Okay.
Like wild power. Okay, so let's go. Genesis 6, 1-4. It says, now it came to pass when men began to multiply on the face of the earth, which I think was the 20,000 years ago.
Okay.
And daughters were born to them, that the sons of God, these were the Nephilim, saw the daughters of men, and they were beautiful, and they took wives for themselves of all whom they chose. And the Lord said, my spirit shall not strive or contend with man forever, for he is indeed flesh, and yet his days shall be as 120 years. And then it says, there were giants on the earth in those days and also afterward, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, and they bore children to them. Those were mighty men who were men of old, men of renown.
Yeah. Well, look at,
So if you go into it and you can look in the Hebrew, there's a ton of people, apparently scholars, this is well known in the scholarly world, but not for whatever reason, the pastors don't talk about it, which is very bizarre to me. But the giants are the Nephilim. The sons of God are the watchers that Enoch talks about.
Hybrid beings.
Yeah, so the Watchers or the Elohim are the spirit beings that take on flesh. And this is all in the book of Enoch you can read.
Yeah.
There's multiple scriptures throughout the Bible that confirm this, like Psalm 82.
It's all throughout it.
Yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah, you can't separate it.
Well, these Watchers literally take on flesh and they try to make their own race.
Yeah.
So they mate with the daughters, us, flesh.
Yeah.
They mate and try and create their own race. It's really in contention with what God created, which was man in his own image. And so the offspring that were birthed are these Nephilim.
Yeah. So Goliath is a prime. Everybody knows David and Goliath. Goliath is a Nephilim.
Goliath
for those who don't.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So these are the giants that they were afraid of when Joshua and Caleb were supposed to go spy out the land in Numbers 13.
It's what the whole seed war and the conquest is in Exodus. And like with Joshua, all those clans were not just other humans that God was against. They were interbred with these Nephilim beings. Like, the Amorites, there's so many different
The Amorites,
ones.
the Amalekites.
And you can look at the history of them.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, where they come from, where they got their knowledge from, like the Anunnaki and all of these beings that came down and brought forth this supernatural or
forbidden
knowledge. That's the term.
It's the forbidden knowledge from the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah, which includes like cutting of roots, which drugs. You think about ayahuasca, that's roots.
Oh yeah.
I mean, even like women, how to dress yourselves, how to look a certain way,
to entice.
Even
it's
like
the
weapons.
Sexuality.
Yeah,
like they even taught that. The weaponry. There's so much in it.
Yeah, technology, which I think there is a good aspect of, obviously not the sexual, whatever they taught them, and the drugs, but like the weapons, I think that's something, well, maybe if they didn't bring it in without the darkness, we wouldn't have a need to have weapons to kill each other with, but it's interesting. Huh.
I think so these Nephilim, right? They are the ones that I think we don't fully take into account how dark they really are.
Yeah.
Like it's like, oh, don't be mean to those. And it's like, no, these suckers are vengeful.
Yeah.
They are bloodthirsty. They are they hate humans.
Cannibalistic.
I mean, if you look, and this is why God was like, hey, don't keep doing these things.
Yeah.
Because they were sacrificing their children to Molech. Like it is dark things.
Yeah. It's a hatred for humanity, like pure hatred for God and humanity.
Oh yeah. It's the vileness is like unmatched. Like, and so God was really like trying to separate, like, hey, just don't like stay pure, stay who you are.
Yeah.
Like keep it in the pocket.
Which eventually it got so bad, the world and humanity, to the point where it's like what Noah and his family were like the last purebred humans.
Yes. And that's what the scripture even says. Like Noah was the last pure one, meaning like he was the only one that didn't have Nephilim or this
commingled with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so and this is what really put me at rest and gave me a whole lot of peace, is like the flood wasn't meant to kill a bunch of humans who were, just doing the wrong thing, who were bad humans, not obeying God. It's like, no, he did that to save the world, really.
Totally.
Because we were so overwhelmed. It's like if it ever gets to that point, it's so sweet that he intervenes when he has to. He will straight up show up and intervene.
He did. He did on the cross.
Yeah,
he did in a massive way on the cross.
Yeah.
And to me, that's the most profound thing in the world. Like he took on it. Like Jesus is Yahweh.
Yeah.
He is the creator. He was like, you know what? I'm coming back after humanity.
Yeah.
I'm actually coming back after this whole thing because they've kept going their own way, and I want everybody back.
Yeah.
I want everybody back that bad.
And they're such a cool like mirror to like, Yahweh and the Israelites in their conquest. And taking out these clans and wiping them off the face of the earth. But now, like after the flood, killing all the Nephilim, And then now it's like we deal with demons, right?
Yeah.
We deal with darkness and things like that. And he's doing the same thing. Like we deal with those things in the same ruthless manner.
Oh yeah. We have to.
Mm-hmm.
But so a demon is actually, when the Nephilim died, and this is, you can even go read this in scholarly literature.
Yeah.
That it is very well known, and especially with the Second Temple period Jews, which is when the Bible was actually written, when the New Testament was happening.
Yeah.
They knew that when these Nephilim died, their spirits stayed upon the earth, and they are the demons.
Yeah, they weren't of God, so they're not going to return to him.
Totally. So their flesh, even though the flesh disintegrated, their spirits are still here, and they look for flesh to feed on.
Yeah. And to live through, to
That's
find
what
some
I was
form
meaning
of
by
life.
feed on.
Yeah.
Sorry, it wasn't supposed to be that graphic, but
well, it's true. Yeah.
But that's why, like, they look for holes. They look for unhealed spaces that they can get in on and then live. And this isn't just people who are demon possessed.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you do have that where somebody is fully yielded to that. But I think that is, again, through an avenue of pain.
Yeah.
And I think that's why you have to be ruthless in dealing with every single offense, dealing with everything of bitterness.
Yeah.
Is like, don't give space to any of this.
Yeah.
Because it really is actually trying to take your life out. I've had multiple dreams, and I've even had people that had dreams for me that were like, hey, this thing that you just partnered with is trying to kill you.
Yeah.
That's happened to me twice. And I think in my spirit I knew.
Yeah.
But at some point I was like, well, it's not that big of a deal. Until these two different people had dreams about me, and they were like, hey, this thing is actually trying to take your life out.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I really probably shouldn't partner with these things.
Yeah.
And it was actually with people.
Well, sometimes people don't know that you're partnering. You don't know that you're partnered with something, or that you're, something's operating through you.
But that's why I think it's like connect to the Lord.
Yeah.
Because when you connect to the Lord, he'll show you if you have been giving space to that. And he's not that concerned about it.
Yeah.
Like you could live in fear, like, oh my God, am I holding a demon? And it's like, hold on, no. That's not what this is. It's be present with the Lord, and he'll draw those things out.
Oh yeah, he'll walk you through it.
Oh yeah.
I have a dream about that.
Oh, tell me then.
Specifically, it involves the Nephilim and God walking me through something that I had operating in me.
Oh, good. Then I can share mine too.
Okay, good. Some practical examples.
Yeah.
So I used to be, going back 10 years ago, like when I was prideful and stuff, I was very angry. I'd have like fits of just pure rage. And I liked it. Like it felt good. I don't know. But that was my thing. I could get, really mad and hateful, and it was really bad. But whenever I finally came around and the Lord decided to show up, or he was always here, I guess when I decided to pursue him, I had to deal with those things. And when I finally saw what they were, what they actually looked like, usually they would try to confront me. And so there were a couple of...
What did the confronting look like?
Well, there's two in particular. One, this is kind of scary. One of them was in a dream, and one of them was physically. And maybe it goes back to that thing that I saw as a kid. But the one physically it was like a demon that showed up in my house, and it tried to intimidate me, and I had a choice to make. I didn't allow it to win. But there was another one, the dream that I had, it was about this rage. It was dealing with this rage and stuff like that. Well, in this dream, I was like in a valley, and there was a Nephilim, a giant, and what it looked like, extremely tall, probably 10 foot tall, extremely muscular, but its structure of its muscles was not like a human. Like he had lats on his lats, so he could bend in all these crazy ways and move, and he had like long hair, beard. But anyway, this thing was like screaming at me. And I was like, that's that rage. That is that rage right in front of me. And it was screaming, trying to intimidate me. And in the dream, I just knew what it was. And I was just like, you're not going to be in me anymore. I'm not going to do this. And as I thought that, God, invisible like a whirlwind, dropped this thing right in front of me, put it on the ground. and handed me a sword. And I hacked its head off. And then the dream was over.
Wow.
But that was what that was.
What did you feel coming out of that dream?
I mean, I felt the release of it. I knew what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had that decision in my dream, that conscious decision, I'm not going to let this thing operate in me anymore. And it was like I put it off and killed it. And I cut the ties to it in my person, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, that's what that was. And I was just like, I know exactly what this is.
And did you ever have another fit of rage?
Little pieces.
Yeah.
There are remnants of it, yeah. Not like it used to be. But it's a process.
100%.
But the core of it, it's gone.
It's like once you deal with the root, then you can just start chopping up the branches that may still like...
Yeah, because stuff will come up.
100%.
And you just deal with it in the same way, but you know what it is.
Mm-hmm. You can see it for what it is.
Yes.
And you can see that it was never a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
That it was actually an outside influence.
Yeah. And then it's just a process. It kind of shows up, cut it out, deal with it, to the point where maybe it doesn't. It's completely and fully gone. I think that's the end product of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Anyways, I want to hear yours.
Well, mine's not. That was dope, dude. It's just dope. Mine actually was about dealing with the spirit of control.
Okay.
Because I didn't realize how much space I was giving to... I really hate when people use this term, but this is how it showed up in my dream as a Jezebel spirit.
Yeah.
And Jezebel like really seeks to control.
Oh, yeah.
And a lot of the time through intimidation.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, so in the first part of the dream, well, this was actually 2 nights. It was like back to back. So I felt like it was the Lord giving me intel on the first and then like dealing with the root on the second. Like, hey, basically, hey, I'm coming to deal with this thing.
Yeah.
Which I just feel like it's always so gentle with me because I'm actually a very sensitive person.
Yeah. Like
my heart is very, very tender, and I used to be very abrasive and very controlling.
Yeah.
But my heart is really, really sensitive. And so when the Lord comes, it's always in a very gentle and a very kind and a very underhanded way to me. And I always feel like I need traces of it to almost prepare me.
Yeah.
Because I did experience a lot of trauma as a child. And so any kind of big thing that we're going to deal with, he's been very kind of like easing me into it.
Sure.
Anyways, but in this first dream, a lady was continually following me around, and I could feel the pressure of control in every movement that I made. And I was trying to alert my family, like, hey, this lady is literally dictating my life and really trying to take me out. And I was having to do a lot of things in secret to try and alert them to like, come help me. Like, I need help. But the lady wouldn't allow it. Like, I basically was stuck with her. And if I did alert my family, and like in the dream I had Zach come, the lady pretended like she wasn't doing anything. I'm like, oh, no, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
But I knew that that was a demonic spirit that's really been putting pressure on me. And like me feeling very controlled in my life. Like, so I think if you feel controlled, you manifest control. Like if you just don't feel free.
Sure.
Anyway, so then I had another dream the very next night. And I won't go into all of it because it's pretty... what's the best word for this? It's intense.
Okay.
It's pretty intense. But I'll just talk about at the very end of it, when I finally got to look at this thing, there was a man that came up and he said, it's time to prepare her. Okay, I'm just going to read it. I won't go into the beginning part, which I have to tell you about that. That's a whole thing.
You know?
There was actually an ancient symbol that showed up in my dream that I didn't know was an ancient symbol. Yeah. It was the Ankh symbol, which I don't know if you've seen that, but an Ankh symbol, I had to go research this.
Yeah. Let me pull it up. Let's see if I can see what it looks like.
Yeah. So it's like a half cross with like a hook at the top, or like a half circle, or anyways.
Oh yeah. I see that all over the place nowadays.
Yeah. Well, I didn't know that, but it's a symbol. It is one of the 13 symbols that is in every single culture around the world. That's what I found out.
Interesting.
Oh yeah. But this Ankh symbol was the thing that summoned this Jezebel to show up. And it was just so profound. But so this man who was a high-level shaman, and I knew this in the dream, but he was a good guy. Okay, so most shamans are like, demonic.
A little witchy.
Yeah, they're definitely witchy.
Yeah.
They're definitely on the other side of the tracks, but I knew that this one was good. It was like, he was the dad of a good friend of mine. And so it was safe. But he said, let's get her into the house. The ghost is coming. We need to prepare her. This was a dream, by the way, guys. So this is a part in the dream. I said, I knew this was a major deal. This massive ghost doesn't come for many. He normally sends his little helpers, quote unquote. But this one, he was coming for me. Somehow I had alerted the dark side. And I knew it was me standing up against this thing. I was actually like looking at it for what it fully is. So I go into the house and he starts teaching me about what is coming. He said, it will be a large man, but he will be dressed like Jezebel. He will paint himself and try to allure you in. You will hide in the bedroom so he can't get in. And then he looks at me dead in the eyes and he says, but if he gets in, do not bow. Take your stance and do not let him intimidate you. And it was this thing that I was like, he's going to get in.
Yeah.
But it's okay. So I position myself in the bedroom where I can see everything. And supposedly this door that was holding me in had all these locks on it. But the more I looked at the doors, I realized they had so many different access points that you could try and get in, but the door itself was so flimsy, meaning like the separation.
Yeah.
It was going to fall down. But I had Bexley in the room and I was holding her. And in the room with me was this mother figure. And this demon shows up and he starts to paint up right in front of the windows. So it's like I'm observing what his play is here. Yeah. Anyways, so I'm watching him paint black and red all over his head. And I'm watching him taunt this mother figure in the room with me. He sends his little helper to come knock on the door. And when he knocks on the door, this mother figure tries to prove that I wasn't in the room, which I instantly was, when I woke up, I knew like it's trying to prove yourself. Yeah. When you try to prove yourself, you give access. You give access to things instead of just resting.
Yeah, you don't have to prove yourself.
Totally. But I knew that this mother figure was trying to prove this. But when she tried to prove it, the door fell open. And they had instant access. This Jezebel ghost stepped in and I stood up to him. I would not bow. Yeah. He looked at the mother and somehow he had become a part of her. Her eyes instantly turned red and I knew that when he had entered her, he had also entered me too. So I go into the living room and I tell all of my people, my close people in this dream, what had happened. And one of the guys said, you do the wiggle dance. They come out when you shake your wiggles out. So Bexley and I, with my daughter, I grab her hand and we start running. And Bexley starts singing in full language, which she doesn't talk, but like broken words at 19 months. But she looks at me and she said, we do the wiggle dance in the name of Jesus. We do the wiggle dance. And we just start running back and forth. And I knew that the ghost was no longer in our midst. Yeah. And I knew that I was completely free. And so for me, that dream, it's like, hey, when you try to prove yourself, you give access to this. And you give access to the Jezebel spirit. Yeah. Which is controlling your life. It's the one that's manipulating you to not be free. Yeah. But when you don't bow down to it, when you take your stance, and I thought it was so pure, like you do the wiggle dance. Yeah. You shake it out. Yeah. Like you can shake these things off. You can shake the demonic off and like you're free. Yeah. And it's in the name of Jesus. It's being connected to him. Oh yeah. And to me, it was the purity of like, and for me, I knew it was generational.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it was generational that both Bexley and I will no longer have to deal with this spirit of control.
Yeah.
Because it is in my family.
Yeah.
It is thick in my family line.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, they don't know it.
Yeah.
Like, I love them. I really do. But they just don't know that they give space to this spirit of control.
Sure. Well, most people don't.
Yeah. Anyways, but it was pure for me. And it's like the Lord showed me that is a demon that has had major influence in my life. But anyways.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Huh.
The Lord will give you things.
Yeah.
To be free.
Mm-hmm.
Like.
Even that, like, the childlike simplicity of shaking the wiggles out, you know?
Yeah.
It's like, it's simple.
It's that simple.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love that. That's
Anyways.
like the opposite of control, like all the locks on the doors and all the intricate little, you know, things that you can put up. And it's a complete contrast to it. So much easier. Feels lighter. Just talking about it and thinking about it.
Yeah. My favorite thing was in the dream. Well, there was multiple, and it meant a lot to me. So, you know, it's kind of, I don't always share everything. And so I was a little leery about even going into that dream.
Yeah.
Just because it's so special to me.
Yeah.
But I think there is something profound about not proving yourself.
I do too. There's
something that is so freeing when you realize I don't have anything to prove.
Yeah.
And not in like I'm not, you know, like not abrasive, just like, I don't even have to explain myself.
Yeah.
I really don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't owe anybody an explanation. You can just be.
Yeah.
You can be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that's how the demons show up.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely a way.
These disembodied spirits.
Yeah.
And they take on different forms.
Oh, yeah. And they're so, I mean, they've been around
for a
very long time. So they know those little doors that they can creep through.
They're intellectual.
Yeah.
These demons, this isn't just some of them are dumb orcs yeah. Some of them, I'll say that. But there is intelligence to them.
Yeah.
It's an intelligent game. It's an intelligent war. It's probably a better way to say that.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not anything to be overwhelmed about, for sure. It's like, yeah, they're there, but it's like we have a hell of a lot of power, you know?
We do. We have authority over them.
They know it. Yeah. It's not a, oh, any minute now, this thing's going to, we're surrounded by them in this
but I think that's
overwhelming way.
Well, some of them, I have actually seen a spirit of fear showed itself to me once.
Yeah.
And what it was a very small dog. It was a very small dog that was barking through a megaphone.
Yeah.
And trying to project its voice to be much louder than it is.
Yeah.
And I realized, like, oh, the spirit of fear actually has, it's very, very small.
Yeah.
So even if you feel fear about even our conversation today, like, there's nothing to even fear on that.
Not at all.
Because it's actually very small.
It's projection,
It just projects itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But.
Interesting.
Yeah. It was fascinating. I've been watching this thing about ancient civilizations. And it's fascinating to me how much they can prove and even give more context to even what the Bible's saying.
I know it.
It just,
It's just not mainstream.
No. Which it should be.
I know it.
But, they all say that the earth is much, much older than we think.
Yeah.
Which makes me think of, okay, so I had this youth minister when I was in youth.
Okay.
And he used to say, so trees, right? And in the, like if you cut a tree open, all the circles is actually the age of it.
So you go by each circle's a year.
Yeah, so they're like old trees, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had a youth minister that was like, well, I think that God just multiplied it and just supernaturally imposed the age on it. And I was like, what?
Why would he do that?
Yeah, like it didn't even make sense to me then. Like how much we try and play off the fact that the earth is old.
Yeah.
Like there's so much rich history that we're standing upon.
Yeah.
That we're ingrained in.
Yeah.
Like
definitely.
we have joined ourselves to a much bigger party.
Yeah.
Than just, the earth being 5,000 years old and or 7,000 years old, whatever they think it is right now.
Yeah.
Like
I've noticed that people will cling to those things rather than be open to,
Yeah.
That's weird.
Because the earth really is. So that was one thing about the ancient civilizations that they were talking about with the earth being so old, is that they have actually proven, they do those genetic testing, right? So like 350,000 years ago, they found they found a genetic trace of a guy in North Carolina whose genes go back 350,000 years ago.
Oh, wow.
That's how long it was connected.
Yeah.
Before then, it was only 200,000 years ago, and it all came from the same seed.
Yeah.
It all came from an Adam seed.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This is like scientific stuff.
Yeah.
Well, this guy is like an anomaly. And they're like, well, where did his seed come from? They actually think it might have come from the gods that were roaming the earth.
Yeah.
Because it's not the same genetic traits. Like his genes are not the same.
Yeah.
And so they have this hypothesis, which I don't know how you fully prove this, but to me it makes more sense, even in biblical context.
Yeah.
Right? That these sons of God, these Elohim, were actually roaming the earth, that were on the earth at 350,000 years ago. And then when Adam came onto the scene 200,000 years ago, the Adams, as they call them.
Okay. The Adams family.
Yeah, the Adams. No, but we took Adam's command to subdue the earth, meaning like we were actually supposed to eradicate.
Yeah, there's something to subdue.
Yeah, something that was fallen. So I just thought it was interesting that even like the things that they're finding out is like, oh no, things were actually here.
Yeah.
So you should look up the history of the Sphinx. I'm just going to go into a history
that is
moment.
Interesting. No, yeah.
Because they think that the Sphinx was around before the Ice Age.
Yeah.
So they think that somebody they built it, and it has like a pharaoh head on it now. Did you know that it used to not be a pharaoh's head?
Oh, really?
They believe it's a lion. It used to have the face of a lion.
Huh.
And somebody went in and recarved it to where it's the face of Pharaoh.
Huh.
If that doesn't go in alignment with literally the Lord and then the Nephilim or the sons of God trying to create their own race.
Trying to impose their image over God.
Yes.
Wow.
If that doesn't like scream we were watching this thing and I kept hitting Zach. I was like, how do people not see this?
Yeah.
Like it's blatant.
That's incredible.
It's blatant.
I'm going to have to go watch this
You
now.
really have to. But they really did try to impose their own face on the lion.
That's what they do. Wow. That's funny.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Clever.
Oh, yeah. Because they were saying that the Sphinx, it had to be there before the Ice Age.
Yeah.
Or it was built in the ice. And they were like, nobody builds things in the ice. Right? Like the sediments and stuff.
Yeah.
Most of them believe that it was before the Ice Age.
That is interesting.
I
need to
so.
delve. I've always wanted to just go all into all of these things. Because it is extremely interesting. Going back to the Nephilim and the ritualistic mating, these sons of God,
coming
daughters
down.
of men. I've always thought that. You look at all of these structures, these ancient structures and pyramids.
Oh, yeah.
Like South America, like the Aztecs, you see their pyramids and they have the snake carved out of it that goes to the ground. And when the light hits it a certain way, the light goes through the snake into the earth. It's almost like a portal.
It is a portal.
And then at the top of it, they have these ceremonial beds on several of these things. It's very interesting. And they all have a similar structure to them.
Did you know, this is a fun fact, they call them somethings. I'll have to find that. But it's because there are certain points on the earth where the energy is the most.
I've heard
so
of that.
It's surging. All of the placements that they have put, all these Stonehenges, these Aztec ritual beds, even Göbekli Tepe, like all of these places hold energy of the earth.
Yeah.
And I think it's because they're trying to create more portals for the demonic.
Yeah.
But I think we should actually be replacing it and letting it be a sanctuary of the Lord.
Yeah.
You know, like it should be a place where heaven gets infiltrated.
Yeah. Well, it goes back to like whenever they first came into the world on that mountain.
Yeah.
It's like it's like an access point somehow. But it's like they're replicating that. Like they came in on that mountain for some strange reason. I don't know how they decided where they're going to come down from.
Yeah.
I don't know. Mountains are associated with gods.
Yeah, always.
So
it was God. It was mountains and gardens. They saw it as like the plethora of. Yeah. Which makes me wonder, like, because if you think about it, right? Then Jesus says, like the new city of Jerusalem.
Yeah.
Coming down, like we've come to Mount Zion.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a lot there in how mountains and whatnot, but it's like every mountaintop, aka every portal, is actually going to have the city of God within it. So it's going to be, which I think, because they were talking about like the synergy of the energies and like the Aztec place. They were in this show. They were saying that it's like rich ancestral worship that causes even this ground to be more and more enhanced. And so it just made me think, like, us over here in East Texas, the more that we actually bind together in unity, it will be a landing place for heaven. It will be a landing place for the city of God, for the New Jerusalem, the city of brotherly love. Yeah. Which I think is like going to be a thing that we walk into. Actually, I think we're already heading
I do too.
Deeply
That's
in that direction.
What I was thinking of. My brain was, when we were talking about the pyramids and the mountains and things, even the original mountain, what if the collective humanity at that time saw that mountain and they were like, oh, there's got to be gods up there. What if everybody collectively believed that? And that's what created the access point. Yeah. Humanity's belief in that. Like that's where the gods are, and that opened the door for it. And so then when you build these pyramids, it's like, well, that's amazing. That's where the gods are. Oh yeah. But it goes back to us, like all, and even like making way in the wilderness for like the return for like Jesus. It's like collectively, when we put our belief in something, or when we all collectively believe in something, it does create that landing pad. Yeah. Well, like the ghost story that I had. It's like we know the story of this place. Maybe that opened up the door for the demon to act like that story. Yeah. To embody the story. An access point. And not that it was like making it up. It was just like He's using what I believed and what we believed. Yeah. To get in. It makes me wonder, like, well, we know how important belief is. And like, what if belief is pulling on more of the energy, if you will? Yeah. And more of I think, just the spirit realm more than we even realize. Yeah. Or the dimensions. Like our belief is actually the thing that transcends dimensions. Yeah. And it can pull something from one dimension into another dimension. The thought I had. This is a silly one. Has to do with the weather. Oh, good. I thought about this the other day, and this just reminded me of it. I just thought about it. And I was like, what if the weather forecast? So say somebody's, weather guy is like, all right, it's going to snow on Friday. Everybody that hears that is like, oh, it's the weatherman. It's going to snow on Friday. So everybody believes it. What if that like opens the door for it to snow on Friday? Like, what if the weatherman didn't say anything and we just didn't expect it? Yeah. I don't know. It hit my mind. I was like, what if he controls the weather by I don't know. And then obviously it is like, nationwide. It's across multiple states what the weather does. But it was just a thought. It's like, I don't know. Well, it makes me think about this little ice storm that we had. Yeah. Right? And we prayed on Wednesday that none of the destruction of the storm would sit within our city. Yeah. Or our surrounding areas. Right. That like it wouldn't be touched, like our whole area wouldn't have any kind of destruction. And I went to go look at the roads. Nothing around Tyler. The roads aren't bad at all. They're rather drivable. There's no ice at all. Yeah.
But where my sister lives, we were actually going to go see her.
Uh-huh.
And the road, I call her and she was like, oh yeah, the roads are terrible. Undrivable. Yeah. And she was like, y'all might need to wait and whatever. And I was just like, holy cow. Just what you were saying just then is like, what if our belief, because we all agreed we didn't want any kind of destruction in our area.
Yeah.
Like we can even change the course and path of weather because of our belief.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, we have more power than we think.
Yeah.
Last year's, even being, I guess, not controlled, pulled around by circumstances or even the weather. This made me think, this whole ice, snow thing made me think of this too. Last year, when this happened, it caused damage in places. The big snow, what they call it, Snowmageddon.
Snowmageddon.
Yeah, all that happened. Kyle and I went outside to build snowmen. You
had an incredible little sculpture, by the way.
I did, but here's the thing. I was not wearing gloves when I made that. And I was out there for 4 hours straight.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize the cold. I was fine. And I didn't realize that I was fine until I was done. And I was like, oh, it got dark.
Yeah.
And I was like, I just was like in the zone.
Yeah.
In this flow state, making this snow sculpture with my bare hands. And I was so comfortable the whole time.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh.
Just doing your
I
thing.
didn't even think about it.
That makes me think of like the, have you seen the things about like the monks, the Buddhist monks that can sit in boiling water?
Yeah.
And it doesn't burn them?
Mm-hmm.
I think the power of belief, like what we fully believe, just like John.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, I think boiling oil is way a higher level than hot water, but still impressive.
Oh, yeah.
But how much we can actually like get into what you just said, the flow state. Reminds me of Finding Nemo.
The first one?
When they get into the channel or whatever.
Oh, with the turtle?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just like, ride the wave, man.
Yeah.
That's what I think of it.
Yeah.
Like that's really where I feel like life in the spirit is.
Yes.
It's just sitting in the flow state.
Yeah.
Like you ride it and you can swim if you want, but this thing's taking you. Like it's going to sweep you up.
Here's something. The flow state. Okay. That's what they call it. I don't know anything about it. I've heard the term before.
Oh.
So I felt that with that snowman that I was building. What I've discovered is like, people can be like, oh, you're an artist, you're a sculptor. That's what you do. That's your flow state. Somebody else's may be music. I think you can have it wherever you're at. I think it's an aspect of joy and it's an aspect of love.
Totally.
That you can carry, because I had the same exact thing. I don't know if this happened afterwards. During the COVID stuff, I worked for Brookshire's and I worked in the corporate office. And they put this big call out, like, we need help in the stores. Can everybody disperse and go help do stuff in the stores? Some people are like, oh, why do I have to go to the store? Like, I've been there before. I'm in the office now. I'm in corporate. That's not my job. And then I was like, ooh, I had a choice of what store I wanted to go to. I was like, let me go to some random off the wall store. So I went to, I think it was Van.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Went to Van, and I went in there, asked the guy, like, what do you need me to do? He's like, I just need you to stock shelves. I went to the chip aisle, and I started fronting shelves and straightening the chip bags. I had the same flow state.
You were sculpting chips.
I was sculpting chips, and I had the exact same, rush doing that as I did sculpting that snowman.
It's like being in the present state.
Yeah. And then, God forbid, someone comes and asks me for help while I'm in that state. That translates to that person,
Oh, yeah. Then they start enjoying what they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I just remember vividly, I was like, this is the same feeling as that. This is the same thing. It's like you can have this in anything that you do.
Yeah.
But anyways.
I love it. It's the presentness. It's the presentness and almost like fully. I wonder if unbelief is what takes you out of the flow state. Like if you, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like if you have a hang up on something, because unbelief, I feel like it causes you to look backwards.
Yeah.
Or it causes you to daydream and so much in the future that you miss what's happening around you.
Yeah. There's so much opportunity right where you're at.
Yeah. You just don't believe that you're in this moment or that you're worthy of this moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a superpower you can have.
Yeah.
You can take with you anywhere, anytime. Just being conscious of it. I don't know. Yeah, being conscious, being present.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Interesting.
I like it.
Yeah.
The Nephilim is my favorite conversation, though.
Oh, it's always fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's fascinating. And it adds, you go back to like the Titans, like Hercules, Nimrod, Gilgamesh, all of these, legendary people, quotation marks, or whatever they were, these mighty men.
Yeah.
It's like kind of adds like, okay, well, maybe those stories are real.
So speaking
aspects
of
them,
the ancient civilization thing, which by the way, these are not Christians that are putting this together.
Yeah,
these are like paleontologists and nerds.
Yeah,
sorry,
I'm a nerd.
Well, you know what I mean. Like this is like
not
their
a smart one.
This is like they're archaeologists, and like this is their vibe. But they were saying that all of these mythological stories are real.
Yeah.
And they can be proven because of all the architect and all the architecture in these different
regions.
Yeah, like these different sites. One of the things they said about Göbekli Tepe, which they've just started.
What is that?
So Göbekli Tepe.
I've heard of it before, but I probably can't even say it.
It's an ancient site.
Okay.
It's one of my favorites. It is considered the oldest ancient site in the world at this time. It was covered up somehow. It was like they had it for like 1,000 years, and then all of these people decided to cover it up. It was like they were intentionally trying to preserve it.
Yeah,
is what they say. Well, there was a guy that found it in 1990, and all these archaeologists started to come and they started to like unbury it, basically. And it's a site that is like a massive worship center. But it is, they are made with these massive T-pillars that are in a circle. And then they've got these 2 T-pillars in the middle. This is like the main site of it. There's multiple that are going out. But every single piece that they've uncovered they have been able to link to every religion.
Yeah.
They've been able to link to every people group around the world. And so one of the things that they say, it is the site that shows that everybody around the world knew what was going on with each other.
Interesting.
Somehow, some way, these people, and they'll say it too, they are the ancients are much more intelligent than we've ever given them credit for. They are not little cave beings barely can speak English. That's not what's happening. They're wildly intelligent.
Yeah, I agree.
But they say these 2 center T-pillars put off a frequency. And this frequency is a way that they could teleport. It's one of the aspects. There's a lot of them.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different things. But it links every religion.
Yeah.
Which I think is interesting. Because they can't fully place Judaism in it.
Yeah. Huh.
Which I find to be fascinating.
Oh, yeah.
They can, kind of. But
where is this located?
It is...
Here, I want to Google it.
You should totally. It's Göbekli Tepe.
Okay. Let me try to spell that.
Yeah. You can just use your voice thing. But it's like to the... I want to say it's to the east of Egypt.
Ooh, that's cool.
I think it's in Turkey.
Okay, 6,000 years before Stonehenge?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, that's intricate.
Oh, everybody needs to go look at Göbekli Tepe. I listen. I'm such a nerd, but there's a guy that talks about it on Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
And I think I've listened to his interview 100 times. He's brilliant. This guy is brilliant.
Who is it?
I forget his name.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, Joe Rogan only has a handful of guests on his show.
Right. So it would be really easy to find.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But you could literally just
Okay, I'll
YouTube
find it.
Gobekli Tepe.
Yeah. I know how to spell it.
Did you figure out how to spell it?
Yeah. I started with G-O-B, and then I did, it's like, E-K, and it pulled it up.
Oh, yeah.
I got it.
But yeah, it's fascinating.
It is fascinating. Huh. You know, it makes me think of, well, it made me think of the Tower of Babel, too, talking about
ancient civilization goes into the Tower of Babel and what it really was.
It made me think of that, and you saying like all the religions had convened at this point.
That's what they say.
Yeah,
that's what they say. It was a portal that they were trying to channel these gods to come back.
Yeah,
because they were already living amongst them, but they were trying to channel more of their power.
Yeah. Interesting. And then even them coming together with that same intent, making a landing pad for it.
Oh, because so on all of these pillars, they have engravings of animals, and all these different animals they thought would embody different gods.
Oh, okay.
And so like they really honored all of these different animals.
Yeah.
The reptilians.
Yeah.
So that, the Anunnaki are like reptilian by trade.
Yeah.
That's why they call them like blue bloods.
Yeah.
It's actually a different genetic trait.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, I digress.
Interesting. Well, it made me think of the Tower of Babel, and then it made me think of Mount Hermon, however you pronounce it.
Hermon. So let's talk about the Tower of Babel real quick. Mm-hmm. So the Tower of Babel is not just that God was mad at people.
Oh, yeah, let's correct that.
Oh, now I'm mad at you for trying to come to me, so I'm going to sentence you out. That's not what happened.
That's what I always saw it. I saw him as a bully, as like it looked like humanity built some beautiful thing and put so much time and effort into it, and then he's just like...
He doesn't like what you did.
I don't like it. Scatter it.
Yeah, because I think that all the demonic wants to do is paint God as mean.
Yeah, as the devil.
Mm-hmm. But really what was happening in the Tower of Babel was they were trying to access the spirit realm illegally.
Yeah.
They were trying to channel these gods. They were trying to become like God again. Mm-hmm.
What scripture is that? I want to find it. Oh my gosh.
What scripture are you thinking of?
I don't remember. I'm about to find it though. It does connect to what we were talking about people coming together and believing something unified. But God says, like, surely they can do anything.
Mm. Oh, are you talking about the Tower of Babel scripture?
Yeah, the Tower of Babel scripture.
I want to say that's like Genesis 11.
I butcher everything.
Y'all are going to hear me flipping my Bible. I always have to bring this thing just in case.
I think you should put it up to the mic and do it. It sounds kind of cool.
Yeah. Tower of Babel is Genesis 11.
Okay, let me pull
just
it up.
So you know.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I just want to find that. I don't want to read the whole Bible to everybody. Nobody wants to hear that.
You can read it. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, complete side note, real fast. I was in Barnes & Noble looking at the Bibles. They had an audio Bible. It was just the New Testament. But it was audio Bible read by James Earl Jones, the voice of Darth Vader, Mufasa. So my birthday's in May.
If anybody wants to get it, May 11th. Oh, fun fact. I'm going to be 400 months old on your birthday this year.
Wow. You're going to be 400 months old?
Exactly. Like,
that's a lot of months.
To the day.
How did you figure that out?
I was bored one day.
You're a numbers person.
I am. But, so I'm 33 this year.
Okay.
So, 33.
Yes.
Well, I guess I would technically be older since your birthday is after you completed the year.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I don't really think too much about birthdays. Every day only happens once a year. Every day's pretty unique. Yeah,
but I really love honoring life.
I do too. Gosh.
You should honor your life, buddy.
I do. I can honor it every day. I'm here. I don't know. I think it's whenever you start, pinning money to
Well,
You
that's
know what?
another
Let's
deal.
just okay. I think people use it as an excuse to be selfish sometimes.
Well,
And I really
probably.
just don't think it's that. I don't know.
So on my 33rd birthday, which was January 11th, I was 396 months old. So plus 4 months,
Yeah.
because my birthday's January 11th, yours is May 11th.
Yeah.
That's 4 more months.
Yeah.
I'll be exactly 400 months old.
That's funny. That's funny that you went through the trouble to figure out how many months old you are.
Okay, what started it was I was on Instagram and I saw a lady who wrapped herself up like a burrito, like a baby.
Okay.
Like she swaddled herself and
Oh,
she
yeah.
was like, I'm 696 months old. I still like to wear, or I still drink, I still eat, and I still poop all the time or something like that.
Oh my gosh. That's
you know how
funny.
like parents do that about their kids?
Oh yeah.
Anyway, she was doing it for herself.
That's funny.
So I needed to know how old I was.
Okay. I've never, I'd probably give up and I would probably get it wrong.
All right, well, let's go back to the Tower of Babel.
This is a good sidetrack though. Here it is. Okay. Okay, it says, and the Lord came down to see the city and the tower, which the children of man had built. And he said, behold, they are one people, and they have all one language. And this is only the beginning of what they will do. And nothing that they propose to do will now be impossible for them.
Mm.
It's like whatever they collectively put their mind to, it's going to happen. Like it's not impossible.
And their mind had been so corrupted.
Yeah.
And it wasn't that he was withholding. It was because, you have to read the Old Testament through the person of Jesus.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're missing it.
And also, he's there to protect us. He's always for us.
Totally. But that's what Jesus would do,
Yeah. And was it, yeah.
Because I think their minds at this point were so corrupted.
Yeah.
It was so much.
When it's like, what are they seeking? God created us as his image. Like we are already just like him.
Mm-hmm.
And so humanity had been taught otherwise, thought to seek something they already are, which kind of goes back to proving yourself.
Totally.
Like you don't have to prove anything. You are,
mm-hmm.
But
it is the power of belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think he's showing like the power of belief, if it's channeled for darkness, can actually cause so much destruction that he did it to actually restore us.
Yeah.
So that we learn more of like, hey, no, you already are.
Yeah. Definitely.
You totally already are.
The whole Tower of Babel. Yeah, it was a detriment to humanity. That's why he scattered it.
Oh yeah, because they weren't just building stuff.
No.
It was like a full blown portal that they were trying to open.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, illegally.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways.
It's fascinating.
It is. And then Mount Hermon is fascinating as well.
Oh yeah, because that was a full blown portal too.
Yeah, that was the original portal.
Mm-hmm.
That's where what the was it the Watchers?
Yeah,
yeah, that came down. Yeah, and made an agreement.
Mm-hmm.
There's even a sign. I don't know if it's up there to this day, but it says it's like this is the place where the agreement was made.
Are you kidding?
I can't remember
if it's on the mountain.
It was there, or it is there right now, inscribed into something. It's like this is the place where they came down and made the deal.
Wow.
So that's the generalization of what it is, if it's still there or if it was on one of the temples. It may have been one of the ancient temples that was there, but it was engraved there. It was like, this is it. This is where that pact was made.
That's what this thing went down with.
Hey, we're going to go down there and make our own race of hybrids.
Wow.
But anyways, that mountain has so much significance. And like I was doing some research on it recently of like what's there right now.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was the peak of it is also the border of like 3 different regions. And there is a base, like some sort of military base border built right on it.
Mm-hmm.
You're not allowed to go in it or they'll take you out. But
did you know, on that note, they have on a lot of these portals, so like these X Factor places, they have set up many military bases.
Oh, yeah.
The one in Utah.
Yeah.
That is it is a place where the energy of the earth is very heightened.
Mm-hmm.
So it's interesting.
Yeah,
even
funny.
Said that.
And block it off from us.
Yeah, no kidding.
I'd like to go stand right in the middle of it. It's like, this is kind of a big deal. And
okay, let's talk about that though. So I want you to explain what actually happened on Mount Hermon for our listeners.
Yeah, I'll give it. Yeah, what I know from it.
Yeah.
But that's where the Watchers came down and made a pact of like, we're going to go into the daughters of men and create our own race.
Right. So that's where the Nephilim were birthed, right?
Yeah.
And then Jesus
they made a decision. And that's where it came into the world, or that's where that aspect of the fall came into the world and injected it with that.
And then Jesus,
this
right?
is the best. Yeah.
I want you to go into that because I love that. When Jesus was talking with Peter, right?
Mm-hmm. He brings Peter and John up there, right? Was it
John?
John?
It was the Mount of Transfiguration, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was before that, when Jesus is establishing the church, right? The very first time he ever mentions what a church is.
Yeah. Is this prior to Transfiguration? Is this right before? I want to say this is at the foot of the mountain.
I think it is. I'm pretty sure it was before they rolled up there.
Okay.
But I'll double check because I don't like to be wrong.
I don't either, but...
Not when it comes to Bible stuff.
No.
I feel like I should know. But, I forget a lot of things.
Matthew 16?
Yeah, I thought so. Yeah. That's what I was looking at earlier. Man, I was there and didn't even know it. Okay, so they come into the region of Caesarea Philippi. This is Matthew 16, 13 through 20. And Jesus says, like, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood did not reveal this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. That's when Peter was like, hey, you're the Christ, the Son of the living God. Mm-hmm. And he says, and I'll say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. Mm-hmm. And I will give you the keys to the kingdom, and whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever will be loosed on earth will be loosed in heaven. Mm-hmm. And that place that he said this, like, on this rock I build my church, and the gates of Hades will not prevail against it. Yeah. That was Mount Hermon.
Yeah, Caesar, was it?
Caesarea Philippi?
Yes, that's at the base of this mountain.
Yeah, and so and everybody knew that this was a gate of hell.
This was the gateway to hell. Everybody
knew this around this. Mm-hmm. So Jesus is rolling up on the scene saying like, hey, actually, this gate will no longer be, this portal will no longer be the place that demonic or these fallen Elohim have access. Yeah. But the church is actually, this is where I'm building it. It's actually upon this portal.
Yeah, and
which is him.
Even that phrase, like the gates of hell will not prevail, the meaning of it is the gates of hell will not withstand. Yeah. Like it's offensive. Mm-hmm. It's an offensive movement.
Which I think Jesus taking a stance, that was an offensive move.
Yeah.
That's like, hey, bro, I'm standing against this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And everybody that abides in me will stand against this thing. Mm-hmm.
And so then that adds so much weight to the Mount of Transfiguration. If you just read it, it's like, goes up to the top of some mountain, flashes his godliness of like, okay, he's divine. Mm-hmm. Moses and Elijah are there.
Yeah.
And that's it. So, but this, it's like, no, he goes on top of the gateway to hell on this mountain where these watchers came down, the entry point of some major evil injected into this world. He goes up to that point and then just flexes on all of them.
And the purity of those spirits come back or like dwell with them. And it's like the joining of the spirit and the flesh again. Yeah. Because you've got people in the flesh, which is Peter and John. And then you have those in the spirit, which is Moses and Elijah. And then you've got the conjoining, the joint partnership, which is the Lord. He's the connector that is between the flesh and the spirit on top of this mountain. So it's like, you're not going to make an agreement in your own flesh. It's going to be through the spirit of the Lord, through his blood, that you can make an agreement now. Oh, yeah. That's how you access this thing. That's what I've always felt the Mount Transfiguration is. Yeah. Is the Lord saying like, no. This, like, I'm the gateway. I am the portal. Yeah. That gives you unlimited access through this thing.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to summon it in your own flesh because that is what is the poison. Yeah. You have to build yourself that way.
Yeah. It's an incredible section of scripture there.
It really is.
It is. It's badass for him to do that.
It's so badass. Like, oh man.
Yeah.
And that's
who he is, though.
That's the one that wants to hang out with us.
I know it.
All day long.
I know it.
The one who wants to flex.
Yeah.
And be like, I got y'all.
Mm-hmm.
I got you covered. All humanity is covered.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is not so misplaced, gentle Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is. Don't get me wrong. He's
definitely.
Totally gentle. But when it comes against the demonic stuff,
yeah,
he'll flex.
Yeah, he's for real.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. It makes this whole Christian life, there's way more to it. It's way more complex and more of a cube than it is a square.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's alive.
Yeah.
It's lifelike.
Definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we talked about the Nephilim.
I am too. And even still, like, that's the surface. There's so much more that we can go into.
I know.
Down the road.
I can't wait.
But that was good. That was a good fringy episode there.
It was the first one to start in on.
Yeah. Stick your foot into the 2 feet little shallow end of the pool.
Yeah.
That was good. Thank you for joining us on The Ancient Way. If you like this episode and would like to hear more, drop us a like, share with your friends, your family. If you have any feedback for us, feel free to email us at theancientwaypodcast@gmail.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening to us. We'll see you next time.